pharaohs of...
Broadcasting worldwide in complete defiance of the U.S. Patriot Act and the NDAA.
This is the Truth Frequency Radio Network.
Now I don't care about what you heard while the rumors are flying. Don't believe a word.
Are you the 100th monkey? Will your awareness be the one that tips the scales? You're listening to the 100th Monkey Radio with Tom and Ramon on the Truth Frequency Radio Network. Oh, well, here we go, Ramon. I think we have an official start finally.
Yay! How professional of us.
Yeah. So you guys are listening to the 100th Monkey Radio on the Truth Frequency Radio Network. This is Tom and Ramon. And wow, guys, Happy New Year. We are out of 2012. Thank God.
Feliz Navidad.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, Ramon, 2012 was a very interesting year, to say the least. There was so much happening, and so much that happened. I'm very optimistic about 2013, and looking forward to see us actually, now that that date is passed, maybe we can start focusing on building our future in a more productive manner instead of, being distracted by all these other little games that were played and the shadow boxing that happened and all that stuff. I know a lot of this is still going to go on, and there's still going to be those, shadows that are cast out there for distraction purposes. But I think that now we have an opportunity in front of us to really pay attention to our future and start focusing some energy there.
There's something, our guest coming up, and I don't want to say who she is yet, but she said something that came out true. It came out true for me, which was, I heard a lot of people saying that it was a terrible year for them, and granted, I had a really close friend of mine pass away, but I think it was a really good year for us because, we started a second show. We have our own show building slowly, and, my book came out. So for me personally, I think it was a pretty good year, other than putting up with you for another year.
Yeah. Well, I actually had a pretty decent year myself. I had there was a lot of inner growth that happened for me this year. I expanded leaps and bounds. When I look at last year compared to the last 10 years, I had as much personal growth in the last year as I did in at least the decade before. So, all I got to say about that is, wow, it was a busy year.
Yeah, it was definitely a busy year, and it's really good. I think it was really good for the monkeys. Yeah. We did throw a couple new things in the news there, Ramon. Maybe touch on one or two of them before we go to break here in a minute. Let me look at the times. Okay. We got 30, 40 seconds.
Well, there's one thing I put on the main page. Pane Andov's blog is a very, very interesting read, and I would urge anybody to drop by our website, and on the bottom of the page we have a news section, and if you drop down there and click on the link to the Pane Andov blog, I'm very impressed with the work he did. So, and again, I don't subscribe to everything that he believes in there, but there's some stuff there to definitely consider.
So I wanted to throw in before the break, which I might not have time.
You don't.
Some people have been having time traveling experiences in Argentina, so we'll talk about that when we get back to the commercial.
You're listening to Tom and Ramon on the Truth Frequency Radio Network, and we will be back in just a couple of minutes with Miss Inelia Benz.
Oh, you're listening to Harry Mills, by the way.
you washed your potato? Could you be the one? Can humanity develop unity consciousness for all? Reaching out with body, mind, and spirit. Tom and
Welcome
Ramon
back to the
invite you
100th Monkey
join them
video
on
show. I
100
thought I heard the
on
music
Truth
playing,
Frequency
and
Radio
now I don't hear it.
to explore our changing times.
Now, guys, with
piece
live radio,
together
we're
the
always having a little
evolution
drama
of
here
our
and
body,
there.
mind, and spirit.
So we have a
Tuesdays,
special
5
guest
p.m.
on
Pacific.
today, and I'm really, really excited every time she comes on.
She's our New Year's girl.
Yes, let's not forget that. And she has such a sweet voice. I don't think she needs much introduction other than she has a very beautiful voice. Señorita Inelia Benz. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you. The New Year girl, yeah. I'm here on the first every year from now on, I think.
Yeah, well, you made it on our show. We did you last year on January 1st, and yeah, it's
actually
a wonderful tradition.
I missed that one because I got sick. Remember?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
right. That's right.
Yeah, Tom spiked my drink or something.
Yeah.
He wanted you all to himself. So you have a lot of new things that are coming up for 2013. I was listening to you and oh my God, I can't believe I forgot his name. Mr. White, Zany Mystic.
Oh, Lance, yeah, Zany Mystic,
Yes. Yeah, and you guys have such a beautiful relationship when you guys talk. It's so easy to listen to you guys.
Yeah, he's adorable. I love him.
And very honest man. I don't think I know anybody more honest than Lance White.
I love him. He's a hell of a good guy.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. So, tell us about this new place that you're putting together.
The Global Ascension Center.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Yes. We last year there was a call for me to start a center. Now I've had this call all of my life, but I've never been really ready, because these things take a lot of time, effort, energy, and coordination and everything else. And I just was too busy, and I really didn't feel that I could commit to something like that. But last year I looked at the situation and I thought, yeah, I think we can do it, because it's not about Inelia Benz setting up a retreat center or whatever where everybody goes to the Inelia Benz center. It's not like that at all. It's something completely different. First of all, it has to be purchased and owned by the human collective as a sign of taking stewardship of the land. Once the land is acquired, and we're planning to open centers all over the planet, once the land is acquired, then it is activated. So the land, the energy of the land, all the elementals, Gaia, the human body, the humans, whomever is in the human body, the soul, and Source, basically unites and becomes one at a physical level dimension, so people can experience it at a physical level. Because it's all very well to say, well, we are one anyway, all of those things are us, and it is true, right? We are our environment, we are Source. But to actually experience it at a physical level is completely different. It's like asking somebody, or trying to describe to somebody what an apple tastes like, right? Most people listening to this will have tasted an apple by now. And if I say, imagine the thought of an apple, what does it taste like? You can feel it. You can feel it in your mouth, like the sweetness of it, or the crunchiness, or whatever your favorite apple tastes like. But unless somebody actually bites the apple and crunches it and tastes it, how do you describe that? How can you teach somebody what it tastes like, right? You can't. So this is what the centers are. And my role in the whole construction of the center is to call people to create it. So I call people and gather the funds, and we've established a non-profit educational organization for it, so that it's independent of Inelia Benz. So if anything happens to me, the center will continue to happen, right? It will continue to be there, and everything will be held in trust for humanity. And then, so everybody who sends funds to purchase the center becomes part of the center, and they're free to go in there and become, activated and everything else. Now, then, obviously, because we're talking about human beings, and the most important thing about human beings is the relationship and communication among human beings, as soon as this thing started happening, people came together to establish community with this, like with that energy, the Global Ascension Center energy, which means no gurus, no teachings that are codependent. So basically, anybody who comes and teaches, because we offer classes and teleclasses online and everything, there's an online community now. It's open to anybody to come in and offer to their offering, but it has to be independent of any particular teaching or themselves or anything. So it's non-dependent teaching. So you come in, teach something that's completely independent, empowers individuals, and they don't need to go then to another site or whatever to buy something else, or they have to subscribe to some guru or something for their only salvation type thing. So it's something that we are trying to establish as a community to show that we are all empowered. We're all individuals who can teach also others our tools that are independent, and all those people can then go and become independent and raise their vibrations and heal themselves and do everything else too. So that's a kind of a little summary of it.
That's an awesome idea. I mean, there's a lot of those sorts of places that are popping up all over the world right now.
Absolutely, yes.
It's definitely in the ether, so to say, that it's time for that sort of thing on the planet.
Yeah, we've received loads and loads of people saying we're establishing something very similar. Let's link together. Let's become one. And we're working on the website right now to be able to show everybody, so that, for example, somebody setting up a center in India, for example, somebody can click on them and their contact details, and then they can co-create with that person, right?
Oh, so you're setting up sort of a central hub locator type thing?
Correct. Yes, that's what we're going to set up as well. Yeah.
Wow, that's definitely a needed asset right there.
Where's the center located? And do you have a teleporter?
Not yet. We don't need a teleporter. The teleportation ability is ingrained in the human body. We can actually do it ourselves without any machines. Right? No, I'm serious. Then this because
no, I believe you. I'm working on it, but
yeah, you mentioned it. It's one of my pet projects. I want to be able to learn how to do it and replicate it and teach how to replicate it to others. Right, and that's one of my pet projects. That's something that keeps me occupied and busy. Because I think that once that's established, and it can only be established by individuals who are self-empowered and free of their, all the victim-aggressor cycles and everything like that, it can free humanity from the shackles of location, travel, and suppression, right? You can't war with somebody who will just vanish from where you are and go somewhere else, right?
It'd be a little rough to do, wouldn't it?
So basically the centers, the original one is going to be established in California, because California at a global level is where it works like a radio station. Anything that is established here will be broadcast to the entire human collective everywhere, right? So anything that we learn here and the establishment of the center here will be broadcast all over the planet. That's why, for example, things that were thousands of years old, like yoga and Tai Chi and all these things, as soon as they arrived in LA, California, they were spread to the entire collective, all over the planet. So that's one of the reasons why people come to California to establish themselves or to bring something new. And that's the reason why the Cabal put Hollywood there and all their main things that they create to spread teachings and belief systems and stuff like that.
So do you think California is one of these what some people call it's like a ley line or a very important node of the planet?
Yeah, very important node.
Because it makes sense why you would put California there. If that's like a broadcasting center, then...
Exactly, yeah.
Interesting. So you're saying that that's sort of like a major intersecting point of the dragon lines or ley lines?
I haven't looked at it. I can't really answer that because I haven't looked to see if the ley lines cross here. But I do know that ability for California is here, right? From different types of informations that I've discovered and received. and test it out.
Right.
And it definitely works. Something that you place here will be broadcast all over the planet.
Very cool. So, shifting gears a little bit, I like what you have. One of the things on your main page on your website is the fifth dimension is not a location, it's a creation. And I know that I'm guilty of this myself, and I know many, many others are probably guilty of the same thing.
Guilty.
When I think of fifth dimension, I do think of location. I think of some other location than where my body is currently at right now. Would you explain what you mean about the fifth dimension is not a location?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to tell you that thought, or that automatic conceptual view of the fifth dimension as a physical location that's not where we are, is actually not learned by mistake. I'm trying to say is that it was taught to us by the powers that were in order to not let people know that we actually create it. Do you see what I mean? It's
some more of that shadow boxing.
Right. It's a false teaching, so that we get stuck there, and we don't actually realize that we create the fifth dimension, and the third, and the second, and the fifth, and the fourth, and the sixth. But basically, yeah, the thought that we go automatically to that it's actually a physical location or another type of somewhere else is actually taught to us. So we did a video, hundreds of people took part in it, that's called The Agents of Creation, and it's all about this, right? We put it on YouTube, it's had thousands of hits already. And it's all about trying to teach people now that really it is not like it says. It's so simple, it's basically we create all of our environment, our reality is us, and we create it. And that's one of the main work that's happening right now, and it's going to continue happening until 2017, is that to really have that 100th monkey effect about the fact that we create the physical environment. As a species, we create it. Anywhere that we experience life collectively, we create ourselves. And we create it not just ourselves, but with other species, with planets, whom I consider species as well. And it's something that we do all the time. It's not about, we're going to create it now, we've become creators now. No. This happens all the time. We've done this all the time, but the difference is that we've been creating all this unconsciously. So we didn't know that we were creating it. Therefore, we were very easily manipulated to create things that were not necessarily very pleasant, right? And that was a choice as well. We chose to come here and enter the veil of forgetfulness and have a game of light and dark paradigm. And that was fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's like entertaining, and people learn things and experience things as a soul being, as a body being, everything. But now this whole shift and the entire thing that started like 100 years ago really started changing, is that the human collective and the planet really want to have a different type of experience where there's no light dark, there's light love, and we are conscious creators. We create consciously. So basically the message that I'm carrying through is really saying exactly the same thing, but with different words, right? So we started with the power of manifestation, people manifesting what they want out of life. And then we graduate slowly but surely, like baby steps, graduating individuals and the human collective, the entire collective, to realizing we are our environment. We really do manifest our environment. And the fifth dimension is our creation, and it's a creation where there is no darkness, and it's a creation where we become like able to manipulate the physicality of it and really do something wonderful, fabulous experiences, expand our awareness, expand our range of experience.
So this is all actually, I see this as dependent on the consensual reality becoming aware of this fact, right?
Precisely, yes.
And as the more and more people start listening to shows like this and start doing their own inner work and start looking for answers for themselves, the faster this progresses.
That's right, yes.
Yeah. So then what we're doing here is actually getting us closer and closer to that day.
Yes.
I'm really optimistic for this next year, Inelia, that we are going to really start seeing the changes everybody was expecting, in 2012, the big, 2012's here, the whole world's going to change. Well, it all did change, but it wasn't anywhere near what people were expecting. And where I'm leading here, I suppose, is expectation. When everybody has this certain expectation, they had expectations of what the 21st was going to do for them and what it was going to do in the world. And a lot of people were sent into a spiral of depression. I mean, I see that in my own immediate world of people that I know who went into this depressed mode because nothing happened.
Correct.
Where me, on the other hand, the 20th, oh my God, the energy on the 20th for me, it was so chaotic and scattered and just, it was chaos, complete chaos, the energy that I was sensing out in the world. And then when I woke up on the 21st, it was complete calm. And I was really just amazed at the way I was sensing the energy and the way I experienced it. From one day to the next, such a dramatic and drastic change within the way I was feeling things. And it has continued from the 21st, the way I've been experiencing it is continued to, that calm has grown. And I don't know if this is going to come out right and make sense the way I've actually experienced this, but the calm has actually grown, and I'm feeling almost an amplification of a different type of energy. And maybe you can give me some insight on this after the break coming up here in just a moment. But it seems to me like maybe now that the 21st is over, that what I'm sensing may be people turning their focus from the end of the world and the 21st and all that, and looking forward to see what they can really do. Where do we go now? That sort of thing. Yeah. So.
Yeah, really quickly, one thing I noticed that a lot of people are starting to really realize that the Mayans never said it was the end of the world, and they realized that everything was spun by the media.
Yeah. Okay, well, you're listening to Tom and Ramon and Inelia Benz on the 100th Monkey Radio on the Truth Frequency Radio Network, and we will see you guys after the break.
Now I don't care about what you heard while the rumors are flying. Don't believe a word.
You ever wonder why you know who's on the phone before they call? Are you able to sense, see things? You ever wonder what is consciousness? Join me and Tom every week on the 100th Monkey Radio Show so we can explore these different subjects on the True Frequency Radio Network.
Well, welcome back to Tom and Ramon and the 100th Monkey Radio. We are talking with Inelia Benz on the Truth Frequency Radio Network. So
I wanted to jump in real quick, because like you, Tom, the whole fifth dimension is very confusing to me, and I'm wondering, is it basically just So let's say, for example, we live in the second dimension, and one day we decide to look up and go, holy crap, there is an up. Is it kind of like that?
Well, that's really interesting. You know, it's like we were still thinking of the dimensions as locations or time space, but they're really about, like, one of the things that you said is the key to this whole thing is the awareness, becoming aware. So the difference between the second dimension or existing in a second dimension and a third one is all of a sudden you become aware that there's an up, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not that you're anywhere else or that the thing has changed. It's still there, but you became aware there's an up and a down, right? So that's very much to do with for me, the fifth dimension is just an expansion of awareness. We expand our awareness. And what happens there is, it still looks exactly the same as the dimension we're at now. It's the physical dimension, because dimensions really mean physicality, and different levels or vibrations of physicality. And we just become aware of it. When we move into that physicality, it's also a more pliable reality. So we see more, we experience more things, more colors, more lights. But we also are able to create it consciously, not unconsciously like we do the third dimension.
Because one of the things that I always, and I know I've said this before, one of the things, when I hear some people talk about the fifth dimension, and they're like, oh, it's this beautiful place, and blah, 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 and then all of a sudden, I go back to listening to my grandmother talk about heaven, you know, from the Christian point of view, and I'm just like, that sounds familiar. You're just giving it a different name, but it's the exact thing. It's over there somewhere, you know, where us, you know, dirty humans can't get to it, kind of a feeling. And so for a while, part of me was very skeptical. Not that it doesn't exist, of course it exists, but the way it's made to sound as, you know, the same thing, you know, we all grew up Christian, so we know the story where it's, you know, heaven's over there, and it's never realized that it's right here.
Mm-hmm.
You're in it already, you just haven't realized it.
Right, that's part of the programming.
Yeah.
About earlier, that's how it came through.
Why do we have such a great need to label things?
I think it's part of our conceptual understanding of our existence, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it is. I mean, the labels for this whole different dimensions and different states of consciousness, to me, they always, you know, it sounds sweet in the mouth, but sours in the stomach. Mm-hmm. There's something that just doesn't sit right with me for, you know, calling this third dimension, fourth dimension, fifth dimension, you know. I suppose it's a way for us to be able to have some sort of icon to focus our thoughts around, but
yeah. Well, the way I usually explain it is that all of dimensions are all in the same location. I mean, they're all, like, time-space is an illusion, so all dimensions exist outside of time-space, right? But for us to have a conceptual understanding or have a game within a certain group or network of shared experiences and agreed playing field, we divide them in the mind like we divide the peelings of an onion, right? So then we grab each peeling or each layer of the onion, and then we can experiment with it. We can look at it, touch it, feel it, you know, and think this is a layer. And that layer is more graspable at our mind level, conceptual level, than saying the whole onion is one big mess and we're in it, parts of it. So I mean, you know, people say, is it the fifth dimension? Is it the fourth dimension? Do you call it something else? Some people say they call it the 10th. And I always say, whatever it is that you call it, we know what we're talking about, right? But we need a language so we can understand. And a lot of people are calling it the fifth dimension. I would prefer to call it the new paradigm or the new matrix, you know?
Yeah, I like that better myself.
Yeah. But to be able to reach those individuals who are looking for this information, you have to use the language that they're using, right, to look for it.
True. Very true.
I heard.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
So we can share what we know about it.
I heard something that was described to me, and it's very hard for my mind to wrap around it. And the person who was describing to me he had no label for it. It was just an experience that he experienced for a while. And he was saying it was something beyond, let me just describe it the way he did describe it. This reality we live in, including the spiritual realms, the fifth dimension, and all of that, he calls a phenomenon. And then there's another one that he describes, the non-phenomenon, where energy exists as is. It's like the best way to describe it is before, you know, some consciousness says, okay, this energy is going to be this.
Right.
Or it's going to become that. Have you ever experienced anything like that? Or
Yeah, absolutely. I call it the field of potentiality.
Okay.
Because it's potential existence, but it's not really. It's everything and nothing at the same time. And when I say, you know, people say, where did you come from? And that's the only place I can point to. Because that's what I feel, that's what I identify the most, you know, it's like after you remove everything else, because even as soon as you have, even when you talk about the matrix or inside the matrix or outside the matrix or the entire reality universe with all of its infinite dimensions, you're still talking about a duality because there's still an I and other, right? And the only place where that doesn't exist is in the field of potentiality, that place that you just described before things happen, before things become.
It is. Since you've taken human form, have you had a chance to go back there?
Yeah, I like to be aware of it all the time as much as I can because it's the only thing that makes singular reality bearable. Or I can honestly say bearable because I understand and I've learned through my 46, nearly 47 years here on the planet, that people really, really, really value their singularity, you know, their identity, their individuality, their otherness, and also really, really, really value experiencing life with other individualities, personalities, singularities, and the other of the environment. Right, they really value this, and the thought of losing it, because this is how the people feel it, that they're going to lose that, is really not acceptable to most people. But for me, I experience that as extremely painful. It's like trying to fit into a costume that's several sizes too small for you, you know. And it's extremely uncomfortable, but that's the only way that you can reach people and talk to them and have an experience here. But I can't really say that it would be, I think it would be much harder to do it if I couldn't tap into that field of potentiality.
Right.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat room just says hi from Italy. So I just want to say for you, Inelia. So I just want to say buongiorno. That's good morning, isn't it? Anyway, somebody had mentioned earlier in the chat room, and I want to go a little bit deeper into this because this, what as far as California, and the reason why I want to go deeper into that, because we also broadcast everything, whether we realize it or not, our drama and everything. What is exactly? Do you know what is exactly about California that broadcasts so much out?
Well, there's several centers around the planet that have a very particular type of role. Many people will be familiar with the Himalayas or the center that's now moved to the Andes. And if you go near that center, you'll go really deeply into a very altered state, right? So like you go into like a yoga state or a meditative state. And you can do lots of things from there. There's a sense of expansion of awareness and all sorts of things. People take a lot of time and effort to go to those places to have that experience. There's also different types of energies in different locations. There's locations where you can really, really, really connect with Gaia. Like very, very physically connect with her and all the elementals. And California is basically just a big speaker, like, you know, one of those things. What are those called?
A megaphone.
Yeah, it's like a megaphone. Anything you do here is going to be putting the megaphone, and everybody's at some level will hear it around the planet. That's why, you know, California is under a tremendous amount of bombardment energetically with the chemtrails and all sorts of things. I mean, it's just unbelievably hard to live here at a vibrational level because it's always under constant attack. They've tried to activate the earthquake so that San Francisco falls into the sea and LA, and they've tried to do all sorts of things here, but it's just not gelling into our collective reality. Because there's so many awakened people who have moved here and stabilized the place by meditating every day, by going into that field of awareness and source, so that those things don't happen. It's just about, but why do they want it to happen here? Because if you do something here, it's going to ripple around the planet in a horrendous manner. You know, it's like really going to shift things big time.
Mm.
You know, you do things on both sides.
So as far as us, because we're, like I said earlier, we're always, you know, we're an antenna too, and we're always broadcasting. And I heard people say one of the reasons it's so important for meditation, besides for your own self, is that you're affecting your neighbors even though you don't know what they look like.
Right, yes.
So what is it exactly that we're doing that's actually helping affect these people around us?
We are one being. The human species is one being. And the vibration is through emotional. The emotional body is the one that creates our reality, our physical reality. And our emotions and thoughts do get broadcast all over the planet. Normally by whomever we're closest to, whether it's physically or emotionally close to or mentally close to, we are able to have direct communication and effect on everybody who we're with. That's why one of the things that I learned from, I can't remember the bloke's name, but and it's something that's been taught for quite a while now in all these manifestation book things, that the 5 people who you are in contact with the most are the ones that are going to shape your life, right? For example. So it doesn't have to be like an individual that you know. If you, for example, buy all the books by your favorite author and you really, really love the author and everything she or he says, that's going to influence your life. That's going to be one of your 5 people. And then if you hang out online with somebody, chatting with them all the time, that's going to be another one of your 5 people. If you're living with somebody and you're interchanging communication with them all the time, every day, that's going to be one of your people too. So if you want to change your life really quickly, you change the 5 people that you are most in contact with, and you're going to see changes in 21 days, because that's how long it takes to change a habit or change a program in your field.
So hang in there for 3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense, because you know that old saying, birds of a feather flock together?
Mm-hmm.
And it just reminds me of being a teenager and certain types of people that I was hanging out with, and the energy I was feeling when I compare it to now, and then the type of people I hang out with now, and the energies I feel now are 360 degrees of difference, completely different. So let's say, for example, a person is always hanging out with just enlightened beings, whether they're human or non-human, because I don't think it really makes a difference. Their chances of speeding up their spiritual path, and I know Tom doesn't like to look at it as a path or anything, but
Sure I do.
Would it speed it up?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
So if let's say my 5 people are all enlightened beings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that would really, really, it's like a rocket booster.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd like to go back to what I closed that last segment on, about the different energies that at least that I'm sensing, and kind of get your take on how did you experience the shift between the 20th and the 21st? Did you feel anything different through that?
Well, my standpoint or my view on what I was saying all these years about 2012 and December was never. I got a lot of slack for it because it wasn't very popular, right? And I have to say it wasn't popular with me either. I mean, I really wanted to see something physical on the planet, like in all of the wars to be stopped and peace declared all over the planet, for the planet to become, or the species to become a nurturing species rather than a competitive one. I wanted to see all those things happen, But I kept saying, no, nothing's going to happen. It's like, it's going to be baby steps. It's going to take 2 or 3 generations. And that's not a popular view for me or anybody. And when I used to look at this particular time space, what I was seeing was a human collective created phase of change, right? So it was a humanly created, and that's not to like lower its importance, because we are the creators of our reality. So if millions of people get together and decide that something's going to happen a certain date, then it will, right? That's the way it really is. That simple. It really is. So what happened was, what I experienced and I said always, I'm going to buy some popcorn and I'm just going to watch the show. That's exactly what I did. I actually forgot to buy popcorn, but I watched the show at an energetic level, at a very, I could sense the waves of energy coming through my field, and I could sense it was from the human collective. People all around the planet got together to do certain things, to activate zones, to contact ETs, to connect with Source, to ascend. And all these people got together to do all these different things, and the waves come through, the collective energy, our collective self would come through. And also on the other side, oh my goodness, they've spent billions of dollars trying to bring importance to the victim-aggressor energy on the news, and these people got killed. Oh my goodness, look at this weather, and oh my goodness, it was horrendous. Even through the shows that they did for New Year's now, they're still going on about it, and people starting wars and other things. Just those waves were coming through. So the chaos that you were experiencing, because you're an empath, the chaos you were experiencing was all those humans creating or putting their stamp on the new paradigm to say this is what we're creating, this is what we want here, right? So putting their votes in, and all of a sudden, because nothing really became apparent at a very physical, visceral level on our physical reality, there was that stop to have a look in the entire planet, stop, look and see what's happening. And yeah, there is an enormous amount of depression and disillusionment happening on both sides, I have to say. And I have to say that I feel it too, because I was really rooting for that, dramatic myself, even though I kept saying, no, I don't see it, I'm sorry. But, so there's that, and that's one of the things we really have to address, because it's a very low level energy. We have to really work hard to get individuals to move past it and say, the shift has been happening for a while now, and it's all about becoming conscious creators, and what are we going to do about it? So how do we change into that new reality that we all can see? We can all really see it. We can call it heaven or fifth dimension or whatever, but we can see it and sense it. Well, we raise our vibration, we raise our personal vibration, and another tool, we change the 5 most intimate people that we have contact with, then we also become conscious that we create our reality. We really, really become, it's a knowing, we have that knowing that we create the next dimension, the last dimension, and this dimension.
One of the things that I feel that was probably a date that was important to all of us, but outside of, and I hate to sound so exclusive, but outside of us, no one talked about that, outside of these kind of shows, was 12-12-12, which, a lot of us spend a day in meditation and contemplation, and there was many, many groups of people putting in their energies so that, the 21st wouldn't be chaotic or wouldn't be. So for me personally, I feel like that had a lot to do with what happened the 21st.
Yeah, I agree. Because again, and that's very, very easy to see human created numerology type day, right? Because the day 12-12-12 is something we invented.
Yeah, right.
But in the natural order of things. But there were so many individuals, millions of individuals around the planet who went to special locations and meditated, and it didn't have the other side interest because it wasn't the 21st. So they were able to get on with it and really put that peace and source energy, their energy into the collective of that very, very gentle and loving transition for the entire species.
So now we wait, and since then I've definitely felt a growing awareness and maybe a refocusing of energy. I don't know if that sounds right or not to me. It doesn't even sound right to me, but it's like it's like a refocusing of energy is what I'm kind of sensing. And maybe it's the unfoldment of all those the meditations and the prayers that were put out on the 21st, because I know there was a tremendous amount of people out there doing that.
Tom, do you mean like a retuning of let me try to explain it. Like you have like your broadcasting signal and you're getting the new signal, but you're rebroadcasting it and fine tuning it. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, sort of, but it's like turning up the gain, turning up the volume. It's like a slow turning up volume on the energy that I'm feeling right now. So
yeah, let's get on with the energy. It's like, all right, now we can get stuck in and get working.
Exactly.
Well, and what we did at the Global Ascension Center, the radio show there, was I did a little meditation, or it's an exercise actually, it wasn't quite a meditation, where we basically tapped into the intention behind all those millions of people of having a more light, more higher vibration experience of the planet. So we bypassed what religion they were, what type of belief they had about source being apart from them, if they were praying to God, praying to Jesus, Buddha, or doing some sort of...
I guess that means it's almost break time.
Okay. Yeah, so it didn't really matter what they were using, but we tapped into the core intention of raising the vibration, right? And then we allowed ourselves to be...
Inelia, sorry I cut you off. We're going to go on to break. We'll continue to pick this up right after these short break. And you're listening to the 100th Monkey with Tom and Ramon and Inelia Benz. See you soon.
Oh, I love my chihuahuas. I love my chihuahuas.
Exposing the hate and exploring the love. This is the Truth Frequency Radio Network.
You are listening to the 100th Monkey Radio with Tom and Ramon, raising the consciousness of the planet one monkey at a time.
So, like one monkey at a time, huh, Ramon?
Maybe more than one. See, because
Nope, there's another one.
We have a few in the chat room, so. So, Inelia, let's pick up where you were talking, where you left off.
Oh, what was it? I thought we were talking about chihuahuas.
Oh, boy. Well, we've been talking about the energy and about how the way I'd been experiencing it, and we talked about how it feels like a growing or turning up the volume, so to say.
Yeah, so what I sense also, that turning up of the volume, I sense it very much as let's get on with it now. And also an expansion of our collective species, really. Because the way that I see it is that after the noise was over, we were able to tap into now to where we are, really, at a vibrational and collective level, which is an expansion, is much more expanding than we were 20 years ago, and where we were a month ago, even because of all the work that people did around the planet.
Right.
Also, like, expanded also in the sense that we have joined other species that are vibrating at that level. So our group of 5 has become bigger or higher vibrational as a species.
So during this hour, guys, just so everybody knows, the phone systems don't seem to be working very well, but if you happen to log on to the truthfrequencyradio.com and get in the chat, then if you're listening live, you can type in questions in the chat box, and we will relay them to Inelia as we can. And one we had out of there already, Inelia, is... do you often use this field of potentiality to increase your own vibration?
Well, that's very interesting, because that clarifies how difficult it is to explain to people how I exist. I can't increase my vibration because I don't have a vibration. When you are in the field of potentiality, or you identify. Even saying identify is just erroneous, just feel it's wrong. But there isn't vibration there. There isn't no vibration there. And how do I raise my personal vibration? My personal vibration, because I live in a human physical body, and I have what many might call a constructed soul to be able to exist and be able to communicate. It's more like a holographic creation I often also say, you know, I was created by the human collective to give this message, right? It's just a face, a voice, a way to express it. And many people around the planet are doing exactly the same thing as I am doing. But with all of us combined, we're going to eventually reach the entire collective and have that critical mass, you know, the 100th monkey effect by 2017, of just learning that we are those very powerful beings. But how do I raise my vibration when I get hit, for example, physically or emotionally, because I have those bodies, right? I do have them enabled for me to exist here. I use the fear processing exercise. I process any lower vibrations that are in my physical body, whether it's in the form of pain or in my emotional body, any fears or anger, things like that. My mental body, when it becomes extremely busy, because the planet is very, very noisy.
Okay, Inelia, we're on a break here, and we'll finish that when we get back.
I've missed it.
Get up and don't be shy. Excuse yourself and pick up the call. Pick up the call. You gotta pick up the call. Pick up
the call. Ain't no monkey like the 100th monkey on the 100th Monkey Radio Show. Tom and Ramon on the True Frequency Radio Network.
Oh, Ramon, you crack me up, buddy. Oh, so you're listening to... Sorry. That's Perry Mills' project, by the way, and there's links on our website to him. We actually did an interview with him, and guy's quite an amazing artist and philosopher, if that's the right word for him. But he's really got something going on there with his music, at least, for sure. I would urge you guys to check him out. Yeah. So Inelia, we were talking about vibration. Yeah. You personally raise your vibration, and you were talking about how you go through and take whatever issues and work on those on the physical side.
Absolutely, and it has to be right away, you know, because when when you have working with so many people and you have a lot of vibration or force, chi, energy to go through to create something at a global scale, you really can't allow any tiny little bit of dissonance there, because it will break you very easily. It will shatter the body, the mind, the ego very, very quickly. So it's one of the responsibilities or the abilities to respond to anything is instant. You have to do it right away, and that's my case. However, with regards to the field of potentiality, like I was trying to say, there is no vibration, because vibration is our physical reality. That all of physical reality is made of vibration, right? Like waves, and that we experience at different levels, and we name them as solid or waves or sound or light or whatever. But they're all vibration. And in the field of potentiality, there is no vibration, so you can't really raise or lower it by being there. So that would be the answer, I suppose.
Cool. So another question out of the chat here, and I'm just going to go straight down the list as they come up. Julio says, "Hi, Enil, could you talk about all the stuff that could affect our ascension? Fear, fluoride, Wi-Fi, microwave ovens, and is there anything else they didn't mention?"
Well, the number ones, the most important that they don't ignore would be fluoride, for example. So eliminate fluoride from your diet as much as you can. I use the distilled water methods to cleanse and to hydrate. So I just use distilled water for that. And also make sure that I don't ingest any foods that are high in fluoride, like black tea or raisins. And there's other...
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
As Ramon's eating a box of raisins.
Yeah.
I know, that's a bummer. I love raisins. And there's other things like organic foods for your physical body, so chemical free. Try to wean off all your meds with your medical practitioner. Go to a homeopath to see if you can go over to something else rather than using the pharmaceutical stuff. Switch off your television, very important, so that eliminates mental pollution, so you can raise your vibration higher much faster. What else can I think of? So yeah, like the things like the chemtrails and things, yeah, they're polluting an awful lot of things, but if you take care to detox your physical body on a regular basis, you shouldn't really be affected. So you should be okay with that.
There's something I heard you say that I experienced recently, because I also have a distiller here, and I was boiling the water to clean the distiller, and I forgot all about it. And luckily, the stovetop I have here, when it gets too hot, it goes beep, 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 and it shuts off. And all the water was boiled away. And this is just the regular tap water. There must have been like 5 grams of white stuff and not the party stuff. Just, it smelled like pure chlorine and God knows what else. I pointed to that, and I told my wife, whenever you use tap water, this is the crap you put in our food.
Right.
And from, since that day forward, she makes sure to always use distilled water. And even after 2 weeks of just using the distiller, there's this sludge under there that's just disturbing.
It is disturbing. I mean, I'm on the same boat. I drink nothing but distilled water. If it goes in my body and it's water, whether it's what I cook with or whatever, it's distilled now. And it is very sobering when you look inside the distiller after doing just 1 gallon. Look inside and see what's left over. It really makes you think.
Yeah, and
definitely.
And the smell is, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Something.
So, next question from More Batteries. Anelia, do you know of any truth to HAARP as far as it affecting us humans, and is it really designed to awaken ancient pyramid energies and or affect our ionosphere?
HAARP I haven't heard about HAARP and pyramids before, or the ionic atmosphere thing. I haven't heard about those. I can tell you that from people who I know in Chile, when they had the huge earthquake in 2010, that was level 9 or something, that shifted the entire continent. The cities are now, the GPS for them are slightly wrong. That one was definitely hard, because I've been in a lot of earthquakes in Chile, and my family has been. One of my aunts wrote to me right away before all of this came out, and she said there was something artificial about this earthquake. There was a huge, horrible noise before it happened that was different. It wasn't the rumbling noise, it was like something else, and there was really strange lights around us. And then when it was happening, people were holding their heads in pain. Right? They were just holding their heads, and she said it was the most horrendous headache she had ever experienced. And when that passed, she saw that people were reacting differently to the earthquake. When there's an earthquake in Chile, all the neighbors know whom, for example, is afraid of earthquakes, so there'll be 1 or 2 who will run to them to make sure they're okay, and just hold them, just hug them, make sure they're fine, the neighbors. Then you start making sure that, if any houses collapse or anything, you start, taking people out, looking after children, and saving water or anything that's in containers that can be used later on. This happens at every time, right? But in this time, she said, she looked around in the street and she saw people who started fighting with each other. Like they were hitting each other.
Really?
Yeah, and it was like, where was that coming from? She just could not understand it. She was shocked, really, really shocked about it. And then in the news, they started showing these people fighting each other at the epicenter and places, and then they wiped out of it from the news. It was deleted from YouTube, from the news, and everywhere, because it was just bizarre. It was just so crazy that I can tell you, yeah, if it wasn't HAARP, it was something else, but it was definitely artificial, right? So that's what I can say about that. I know that they use technology to amplify the emotion of fear. I was recently in Spain, and they were definitely pointing that energy artificially onto the people. Now, if you're conscious of the fact that this is an artificial energy, And even if it isn't, because for any artificial energy to work on you, you have to have it inside of you for it to resonate. It's like a musical instrument, right? You send the wave, but if there's nothing to hit it, it's not going to resonate on you and it's not going to affect you. So, again, we did a lot of exercises of processing the fear so that people could not have that effect. It wouldn't have that effect on them anymore. And then once you process your fear, you can still feel the vibration of it, but it feels like heat, it's like hot, something hot.
So that's why you see the multi-level attack as far as trying to generate fear. You see it in the media, you see it in all the forms of media. I mean, you see it in billboards, you see it, media is the biggest culprit, I suppose. But that's why they're constantly trying to generate fear there, not just for the effect that has just by itself, but it actually primes the field, so to say, for their other technologies.
Precisely, yes. That's exactly how it works.
There's another question. I hope I pronounced your name correct. Jean. And hold on. Someone wrote something and then moved it. Inelia, keeps moving. Inelia, do you think that this state of being that is experienced. Thank you, Tom. Experienced by you is something that everyone will achieve once they cast off the personal ideas of self based on fear, etc.?
I honestly can't answer that either because I don't really know. Like I have a theoretical understanding of what a human experience is, but I don't have one. So I can't really say, is this something that you even want to aim to have or want to be? It's like asking a flower, does it want to be a rose or a lily? You know, they're both flowers, but they're so different, right? And can one become the other? I honestly don't know. Do you want to? If you do, you most certainly can. I know that's the only limitation, is wanting to have an experience like somebody else is having, whether it's mine or somebody else, of this reality. The expansion of awareness, yes, I think that's what we're all, as a species, walking towards, and we will be achieving it in our lifetime. That expansion of awareness, of becoming conscious of who and what we really are and how powerful we are.
So, go ahead, Tom.
Oh, go ahead, Ramon.
I was just going to say, somebody else, Mother Mag, asked, any kind of tea, even green, as far as the fluoride, I guess they're referring to.
Black tea. Green tea is fine.
Just black.
Yeah, as far as I know, green tea is fine. Mate, yerba mate is fine. Chamomile and all those are fine. There's actually, if you can actually find it on the search engine on the internet. If you put fluoride, what has fluoride in it or something like that, just keywords for fluoride containing foods, then you will find them, right?
I think, Ramon, if I remember right, I think we have a link somewhere on the site to a website that tracked food items with fluoride. I don't remember where I put that exactly, but
that might have been in the news several months back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'll try to see if I can find it.
That's a good food items with fluoride. That will bring up several pages, and then you investigate them and see which ones like go with each other, or which resonates with you.
This is a good question. It's from Jimmy. Inelia, what is the relation between increasing your vibrational level and enlightenment? Enlightenment is supposed to come from understanding of the illusion of the ego. What does the vibration level has to do with that?
By raising your vibration, your awareness expands. You're able to see and become enlightened to the reality that you're living in. So a very simple example is somebody who is in a deep depression is not aware of their environment or other people in it. They're just aware of their darkness or their suffering. So their awareness is very closed and very dark. Now, if they increase their awareness because they raise their vibration using the fear processing exercise or something else, so they increase their vibration, their awareness expands, which means all of a sudden they look around, they see their environment, they say, oh my goodness, look at this bedroom, it's untidy, so they tidy it up. They see, oh, maybe their feelings of that person are actually important and not just mine. So they do that. You know, they're not so stuck into that own tiny little reality where they can't even if they wanted to be aware of somebody else's feelings, they can't. They can't even reach that because their awareness is so tight around them that they can't contact the other person's awareness to be able to see what's happening with them. So that's an example of an expansion of awareness and how we become able to do it through raising our vibration. At an enlightenment level, once we raise our vibration enough, we are able to really see and know that this reality is an illusion, is a creation.
Very nice.
One from more... Yes, Tom?
Yeah, why don't we do the one right below that? Okay. Got 3 minutes left before the break, and I think we can fit this one in before then. Inelia, what do you think about urine therapy?
I've heard about it. I haven't tried it because my ego goes, ew, I'm not going to drink that, ew. And I just can't go there. So I can't really give you my honest opinion on whether it works or not because I haven't tried it myself. And I always only recommend or tell you things that I've tried myself, and I just haven't been able to. So I can't tell you if it works or not.
Well, it's basically distilled water. I mean, once you get to a certain stage, I mean, after you've cycled through enough and hydrated yourself, the big key there is being hydrated. Otherwise, it smells and it looks like it's horrendous. Yeah. It's horrendous until you're fully hydrated. Once you're fully hydrated, it tastes like water.
Yeah.
Actually, it tastes better than water.
I mean, your body is the best distiller there is. I mean,
Lance is also a huge urine therapy.
Yeah.
If someone out there is interested in urine therapy, I suggest you can start on our website, www.thehundredthmonkeyradio.com, and look in, I think it was last year, wasn't it? 2011, we had Andrew Norton Weber on.
2 years ago.
Yeah, so in 2011. So take a look there and listen to his interview there, and then check out his stuff. He's got just a ton of information on it if you're really interested. So that's what actually got me and Ramon onto distilled water in the first place.
Yeah.
Let's see. Inelia, real quick, before we go to the break here, if you want to share your website with us and what's coming up in the near future for you. Have you got any appearances or anything coming up?
Yeah, my website is ascension101.com. And there's 2 tabs there that you should go right away. One of them is called How To, and that basically gives you the lowdown on how to use how to access a huge library of information that's on the site. We have loads and loads of information, and that guides you. And the other one is the tools menu, and there's loads of meditations, exercises, and other good stuff there that you can use. Ascension101.com. That's it.
So what about appearances? Have you got anything scheduled here coming up?
We have a retreat. I'm going to be at a retreat, giving a retreat up in La Conner, Washington, on the 11th, 13th. Well, I'm going to be there from the 9th, I think, is when I fly over. On that weekend, 3-day retreat, and it's going to be absolutely awesome. So if you can make it, go to Ascension101 site and book your place.
Fantastic.
Is that far from you, Tom?
It's up by the border, isn't it, Inelia? The Canadian border?
Yeah, I think so, but I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I think it's, I'm not exactly sure. I'd have to look at the map, but I'm thinking it's eastern Washington, but I could be way off. I don't know. Like I said, I'd have to look at the map. Hundredth Monkey Radio on Truth Frequency Radio Network. We'll see you guys after the break.
Are you the 100th monkey? Will your awareness be the one that tips the scales? You're listening to the 100th Monkey Radio with Tom and Ramon on the Truth Frequency Radio Network.
Welcome back, guys, to our last segment with Inelia Benz. You're listening to Tom and Ramon on the Truth Frequency. Let's see. We've got a few more questions here, guys, in the chat room. Hopefully we'll be able to get through all of them, but if not, maybe next time. Let's see. Where were we at?
Right above.
Batteries. More batteries. Inelia, what has been your biggest struggle throughout the years as far as your mindset and maintaining your enlightenment?
The most difficult aspect is existing on a physical plane. It's extremely difficult. I don't know how you people do it.
It's that fitting into the too tight a dress thing.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult. I really don't have any other words for it to actually exist as a singular being and in a physical body, in a physical reality. It's really, really hard. And I always end up, I get teary-eyed and get really emotional whenever I think about all the light beings that have been incarnating here through lifetime after lifetime to continue to keep that high vibration on the planet so that we could then have this shift when we could access it. All these beings who, were persecuted, burned at the stake, and more throughout the ages, but they continue to come back through having human existences and experiences, even though it's really, really low vibration and heavy for them. Every time I think about it, I just start crying. It's like, oh my gosh, that's really, really something. Because I just have a few years here, and it's so hard. And I have what people consider a difficult life, but not half as bad as most individuals who have existed on the planet or have evolved here. It just amazes me, really does.
It says something about the perseverance that we have for actually accomplishing something or getting through something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It actually kind of reminds me of Tom's past lives. Well, I only know of one, actually.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. So, another question. This is from Anonymous, 1928. Could Inelia speak a little about dreams and their significance in creating the new paradigm? This is from Andrea. Thank you, Andrea.
Yeah, I like that question because one of the things that I've been asking people to do is to take back their dream time. And what does that mean? When we go to sleep, often we will go into unconscious dreaming of the movie we just watched or the news or something that's in our mind and all sorts of things. We can have nightmares and our emotional bodies and our minds go all over the place. People think, it's part of our processing of things as well. And so how do you take charge of your dreams? How do you take back your dream time? When something makes you afraid or you wake up terrified or angry or sad, process it immediately. And then before you go to sleep, have the intention of, I own this dream time and I'm going to use it to raise my vibrational level and the planetary vibrational level. And if you do that intention, again, it takes 21 days to do that for us to program a new program or deprogram an old program. So stick to it for 3 weeks with the intention, really powerful intention every night. And then you can really use your dreams for just about anything. Now, with regards to the meaning of dreams, a lot of people, everybody on the planet has foresight. They can see the future. They can sense the future. And often these will come through dreams. Now, how do you interpret them? The best way to interpret the dreams in that sense is to read a dream interpretation book from cover to cover. Really, really read it and really learn what each of the symbols are. And then you tell your subconscious mind, basically what you're saying is, this is the language we're going to use while I'm dreaming. If you want to tell me anything, or if something's going to happen or whatever that I need to be aware of. And then once you read this book, again, take a few days to read it and really integrate it into your mind and your subconscious mind. Then you'll start having dreams which correspond to the things that happen in the book. And then you can read the future and past and everything else. It's really cool.
It's very important to have a solid template for doing that too, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, because, if you're bouncing around from this reference to this reference to this reference, because you don't like what it says, so you'll look at some other interpretation, well, you're going to just throw your whole subconscious and your soul into, chaos on trying to figure out how to get a dream across to the conscious mind and make it make sense. Because even if you don't like what comes through, you can't keep looking until you find an interpretation that you like better.
Right.
Yeah, that is awesome and excellent advice there.
Yes, agreed.
Oh, let's see. Go ahead, Ramon.
No, I was just going to read the next one. That's from Joe. Inelia, you mentioned at some point other beings working through you to do energy work or whatnot. Do you have a conceptual understanding of what they might be?
Other beings, through me, I'm not really sure what you're referring to. I often talk about my entourage, which are my guys and, like the people or individual beings that come in to help us have a life or carry out whatever it is that we want to do here on the planet. And that entourage can change and shift depending on what you want to do on the planet. So do they work through me? Not really. They work for me, right? Now, with regards to Gaia, sometimes I do, there was meditations that come through are often coming through from Gaia or the Planetary Council or Source, which I call Source, which is the first singularity. When you come out, when the first coming out of the potential, the field of potentiality and became being conscious of itself, that is Source, because that's what created, that's us, right? That's the herself or whatever at a really, really first level. And sometimes things have to come through that, but not very often, because it's really what we're doing here at a planetary level is really to do with the planet and the human species. And all the other species that are going to be affected or have been affected through time-space by humans. So what normally comes through are Gaia, definitely, the sun, Mother Sun, and also the human collective sometimes comes through, and the planetary collective, which is made up of all of the collectives on the planet. So you have cats and dogs and spiders, trees and plants and ETs and everybody else who's on the planet.
This is a funny one. How do you deal with crabby, possessive spouses, or I would say co-hosts? No.
Yeah, thanks, Ramon.
Just joking.
Your divorce papers are in the mail.
Hey, and that's from Andrea.
Crabby spouses. I suppose you could move out of judgment to start with. Process your own judgment and process what triggers inside of you are happening that are being triggered by the other person, but you're responsible for how that affects you. If something affects you, whether it's a crabby husband or wife or something that happens in the news or you're driving and somebody cuts into you, if it affects you, it's not the other person's fault. It's your energy we're talking about. It's your effect inside of your own field. Something there got triggered. And that's the something you have to address. So it's irrelevant who or what is triggering things to you, but it is very relevant what's happening inside your own field and your own physical body. So that's what you address. Once you address all of those, you're going to find that people and, you know, maybe your crabby husband or wife is going to all of a sudden turn into a most wonderful partner. Or maybe you're just going to say, you know what, it's time to get a divorce and move on.
Yeah. This next one from Jimmy again. You want to read that, Tom? It's pretty long.
Sure. Inelia, thank you for understanding my question. I've been asking that, and let's see, which question was that he was talking about?
The one before the crabby spouse.
No, it wasn't. Anyways, it had to do with enlightenment or something. I'm not sure. Anyways, I'd have to scroll back to reread it. But Inelia, thank you for understanding my question. I've been asking that because I feel, and I know that I'm conscious of what is happening on a collective level is far less accurate than yours. Okay, saying you have a better, deeper understanding anyways. And that the fact that you ask everyone to increase their vibrational level, to meditate, to reach a goal, and so on, I feel that this kind of thing only creates savior egos, that it keeps maintaining one's false sense of identity. Why don't you offer tools to get enlightened and then co-create? I met recently an enlightened master who was pretty clear. Occasional cigarettes, alcohol, soft drugs, meat are not an obstacle at all for enlightenment. When does the spiritual ego end and the enlightened behavior begin?
You know, the spiritual ego does kick in most people throughout when their awareness starts expanding. The way that I normally explain it is that the person sees their own light, and it's so bright and so powerful that they can't see anything else. It blinds them. So that's how I explain the spiritual ego. But there's definitely spiritual ego out there. And to answer your questions, because if you raise your vibrational level, you're going to eventually go past the spiritual ego. But sometimes some people have to go through it. And why do we judge that that's something bad and it's not part of their journey, right? It's not for me to judge what journey people take, or if they have a spiritual ego or they don't. One of the things that can happen is if somebody has a spiritual ego but they want to work with very high energies, is that their ego will shatter. So they will shatter. And there's no judgment in that either, right? So it's not up to me, and that would be, again, putting back responsibility on the person themselves and stepping away from the savior energy, saying, you do it. Because if you expect somebody else to do it or to provide a solution, then you're basically still in the savior energy or the victim aggressor energy.
Let's see. You got one, Ramon?
No, this is mostly comments. Andrea.
Okay.
Thank you.
Would you comment on whether stepping aside when stuck to allow our conversation higher self to higher self may... Hang on. Let me say this again. Would you comment on whether... Oh, quit flipping past.
I hate when it happens.
Would you comment on whether stepping aside when stuck to allow conversations with higher self to higher self may serve interpersonally, or is this simply an avoidance strategy? I think they're talking about when you're in a relationship with somebody or communication with somebody and you get into a stuck situation to allow higher self to higher self communication to happen, or is this simply an avoidance strategy? They're saying, should you back off from a sticky situation and allow higher selves to communicate, or is that simply a way to avoid confrontation?
Well, again, we go back to responsibility. If something's triggering you inside of your field, then deal with it, sort it out, process it, and then communicate. It doesn't really matter if you're communicating with somebody at a physical level or at a higher self level. It doesn't really matter. You can do both. As long as your field is clear for whatever to come through, right? Then you're fine. It's only when something's in your field that things get messy.
Yeah. Here's a question I have, and I've asked you this question time and time again every time you come on our show. Have you had any new experience with any extraterrestrial, extra-dimensional beings?
No, I haven't. I'm very disappointed.
Oh. Come on, guys.
I had tea out for the 21st, and I made tea especially in case any UFOs decided to land on my yard, and none of them did. I'm very disappointed.
Were you making black tea? Maybe that might be the...
Yeah.
Chamomile.
Oh, see, here's a question from Angel. How do you process a fear that you sense but you can't really identify? For example, I've done your processing of fear, the processing program that you have on your website, but I can't name the fear that is being felt. So if you can't name the fear, can you still process it?
Yeah, name it fear.
Just put it under that broad label.
Right.
This is a fear. I don't know where it's from.
You don't need to.
I love you.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can give it a color. Say, okay, I'm going to say that this fear is green. You know, if it helps you to process it better. But yeah, I just call it fear. You don't have to name it or find out where it came from or anything. It's totally relevant. It's stuck in your field in the present time. So process it, disentangle it, make it back, turn it back into light love and embrace it. So yeah.
Here's a question. I've been trying to do this, and I get a little glimpse here and there. As far as having communication with other beings, and I'm talking about earthly beings like plants and your pets and stuff like that. Have you had experience of like having a connection with your plants or animals where they tell you, okay, I need water or I need this or something like that?
Yeah, they're very good at that. All of a sudden you'll find yourself getting up for no reason at all and putting your hand on a cookie jar and putting it to the floor. Or the ham in the fridge, you know, whatever it is that you eat and they love, you know. I've seen that quite a bit. Unfortunately for my pets, really difficult to get to at a physical level because, and even my kids, you know, they have to make sure that I'm there present with them before they can communicate. They've learned that, you know. They touch my arm and says, Mom, and then when I come back and I look at them, they'll communicate. But yeah, that's quite common. I've seen that happen a lot when pets and animals let you know that something's up.
Like both my kids came over this afternoon, and for about a good 15 minutes before they showed up, all three of them were just at the door, and they were all antsy, and every little noise outside, they knew somebody was here, and it just, they know, they're in tune.
Yeah.
My cat, she adopted us. I always say she's a street cat, and she scolds us sometimes. It's hilarious, and I explain what I mean. Like, so if I'm doing the show and she's outside meowing, like she wants to come inside, and then we open the door after a few minutes later, she'll, you know, say it like, and it just made my wife laugh because we know that's like a scolding. Like, what took you so long to open the door? But the reason why I bring that up is just hilarious, the relationship you form with the animals and the plants.
So Angel has another question for you. How does composing music make a difference to the collective, even if no one hears it?
When you compose music or you write a book, create a painting, it will have the vibration of your whatever is the most strongest emotion that you have in your emotional body, and the thoughts and words that are going through your mind, what intentions behind them. It will be imbued with the intention and the emotion. It doesn't really matter if you're the only person who hears it at the end, because you're part of the human collective. It will go into the collective, or reads it, right? Or looks at it. So that's why it's so important. And one of the things, again, that I've been asking people to do is to be really conscious of the energy, the emotional energy and the intention of every word that passes through your lips. Yourself or to others, or whether it's written or verbal. Really have that consciousness of what's the intention behind these words. And that would be the same with music. So what intention is behind that music you're creating, or that painting that you're painting? Really, really be conscious of it. Even the meal that you make every day for your body. Do you have an intention for it? Because all that will actually affect and shape and create your physical reality.
That kind of reminds me of an experience when I think I was like 5 or 6, around that age, and my brother is 9 years older than me. And he was talking to my sister, and they were talking about Mozart and how that type of music, there's certain composers that, and I was so shocked the way he described this, that he was saying that they're able to dive into this conscious river. And that's why so many people are able to connect with that music. For example, like Mozart or Bach. Those kind of artists that, it's been 200-300 years, and yet their music still strikes something in us. That it's tapping into a conscious river or the conscious oneness.
Yeah. What I've heard, I don't know if it's real because I wasn't there at the time, but what I've heard is that in those days, composers were consciously bringing the divine into the earth through their music. That's how they saw it. They were bringing God through and expressing God through their music, right? Because that's the word they used then. But it would have been like that light, love, source energy to come through directly. So yeah, it's extremely powerful stuff. And that's why it perseveres and continues through time space.
So we got time for just a couple more questions here, and one that's been thrown in the chat a couple times. Inelia, what can we do to protect ourselves from the American government now that every human emotion is now classified as a mental disorder in the new psychiatric manual? This is a new manual that just came out, and I guess every emotion can now be classified as a mental disorder in some form or fashion.
Well, do you subscribe to them, and do you go to the psychiatrist to have your emotions to see what was wrong with you, right? Now, you don't have to. You don't have to subscribe to it. So how do you protect yourself? You move out of the victim-aggressor cycle. You have a look and see, how am I feeling threatened by this? Process any fears you might have around it. And then really look at the victim-aggressor cycle that you're tapping into and subscribing to. That nobody can touch you unless you consciously or unconsciously give the okay for them to touch you. In any way or form, positively or negatively. And that's part of the planetary existence rules. It's a rule that cannot be broken.
There you go.
Can happen to you without your consent. Yes, it can be grabbed out of you, like tricked out of you. That's true. And I've had a few of those. I'm nearly pumped up because of one. But yeah, it's basically an agreement.
So it looks like this may be the last question we have time for. This is Enjoying Myself. I am a painter. I live in New York City. My inspiration is Gaia since I was young. I paint feminine, sexual Gaia in all my paintings. I hear people tell me to paint something else for me to sell a lot. Sell and do murals in New York City, but I can't change my love for Gaia. Any advice?
Okay, there's a program in your field that says because whatever that you're doing won't sell. That there's with artists, there's often several programs running that you can look at it and deprogram and process. One of them is the starving artist. It's the only genuine artist. So you have Van Gogh and other artists that died of poverty, and also there's another one that's insanity. There's another one that says you can't live out of your art. It's a program that's quite recent, actually. It's not old at all. The art and music, you can make money out of it. So have a look and see if you have any of those programs. Also, this is the only way that you can live and be successful and wealthy is through your art, which is kind of an opposite, but also is there and stops you from really moving into that place of self-nourishment and environmental support, Gaia support of you. So have a look and see if you have any of those programs, and then just process them right through to where the fears lie, process those, and then you should be home free. You should be able to have a wonderful and wealthy life doing what you love most.
There you go. There you go. Inelia, your websites and such real quick. We've got 30 seconds to go.
All right. Ascension101.com. Come over and join us.
Oh, this time just always flies by when we have you on. It's just, we just start the show and then all of a sudden it's over. We want to thank everybody for joining us. This has been a most enjoyable show. Happy 2013 all. I think we have some really good things in our future. Condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance.
Create your reality because there's not someone else who created it for you.
There you go. Love you guys.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year.
The music should be kicking in now. Dun, 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 dun.